The Budget Lab at Yale earlier this year was, I would have to say, the most cited source for research on the impact of tariffs in this economy, and really was the front runner in anybody putting together measurements there. The Budget Lab at Yale is now taking a look at the AI impact on the labor market, and we're joined by Martha Gimbel from the Budget Lab at Yale to talk about the kickoff of their research and what they've been able to measure so far. Martha, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So what sort of methodology, I guess, do you try to apply to a question like, how is artificial intelligence affecting the labor market? It seems to be the express goal of AI, but I'm just curious about how you can even go about measuring something like this.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, that is the million, billion, trillion, depending on where you think AI is going, I guess, question.
Right.
We tried to really take this back to first principles and think about what would you expect to see if and when AI starts really affecting the labor market. And so what we did was take existing labor market data, the labor market data that underpins a lot of statistics that many of you are probably used to hearing about the labor market, like the unemployment rate. And used that to look at how fast things are changing in the labor market, but also whether or not you're seeing changes in who is unemployed, who is employed, what that kind of looks like. And the sort of spoiler is you are not seeing big changes here yet. I think it sort of speaks to how fast this conversation is moving. That people expect to already be seeing employment impacts from AI. Technological change takes time. And I think our papers are an important reminder of that.
So I guess provide us some context. The biggest comparison point that I can make would be the internet. And I've said publicly that I think that this might be the biggest technological innovation since the internet. Do you have some measurement of how long that technology took to affect the labor market and what we in fact saw in terms of the impacts?
Yeah, I mean, the internet took time, and also it was gradual. It was not a major shock. And one of the things that happened because it was gradual was, yes, people lost their jobs. Yes, different skill sets became obsolete. But it happened in such a way that it was easy for people, or I shouldn't say easy, it was easier for people to retrain. And new people coming into the labor market were able to move into occupations that were going to have kind of long run options for them. I think the internet is the version that a lot of people in AI are really hoping for, but they would say bigger. I think the version of this that scares people is the first industrial revolution, where you had a lot of weavers suddenly out of business. Now there are things that are different now, obviously, than are different about 1822, to state the obvious. But I think part of what people are still trying to figure out is, one, how long this is going to take, how big it may or may not be, and who it will affect.
Martha, when we talk about AI, obviously, companies like IBM have been touting artificial intelligence for quite a long time. When's the beginning point, according to the Budget Lab at Yale, for this? I mean, it feels like it's definitely been dominating news stories for the last 2 to 3 years. When's the beginning of your measurement, I guess, if we're going to try and guess at the impact of this?
This is such a good question. So we looked at specifically the launch of generative AI, particularly ChatGPT. Obviously, when we talk about AI, there's a lot of things that are kind of swept into that definition. And per your point, we are often a little bit sloppy in how we talk about this, and we put many different things under that heading. But we are specifically talking about generative AI, which is the release that I think caused a lot of people to start thinking, wait a minute, can AI do my job? Can AI do my employees' jobs? Are we going to start seeing some big labor market shifts here? And just to, kind of go back to the point at the beginning, not yet, right? It's really clear in looking at our data, and we are not the only ones who have found this, that there are not yet major impacts of AI on the labor market.
One of the places that this has been written about quite a bit is recent college grads. It's been written about the difficult labor market that they are facing as they are graduating, changes in what employers are looking for. Is that measurable, I guess, in this moment that recent college grads are in fact facing a tougher labor market? And if not to be blamed on AI, is there another thing that it can be looked at to blame the struggle that recent college grads are facing?
So I think there's a couple of things that are happening at once. One is there are simply more people graduating from college than ever before. And so if you think about the competition for hiring college graduates, it's just not as competitive as it used to be because there are more college graduates, right? It's a pure supply demand issue. If you look at some of the worsening outcomes for college graduates, and I should emphasize, this is all relative, you are still seeing much more positive economic outcomes for college graduates relative to people who don't have a college degree, right, on average. A lot of that predates this conversation. I mean, we're talking about things starting in 2014. There's another aspect of this, which is, I have joked repeatedly that I will never forgive Sam Altman for releasing ChatGPT in the middle of a Federal Reserve hiking cycle. But I'm sort of not joking. It makes it really hard to figure out how much of any changes are about technological change versus these sort of macroeconomic cyclical changes. 2022 was the middle of a Federal Reserve hiking cycle. We would expect the labor market to slow down. We would expect things to slow down, particularly for younger workers who are just coming out of school, because if people stop hiring, that is going to most impact people who are trying to find a job for the first time. And so a lot of what we're seeing is almost certainly about the macroeconomic cycle rather than technological change.
Martha Gimbel is the executive director and co-founder of the Budget Lab at Yale, and the most recent analysis they're undertaking is evaluating the impact of artificial intelligence on the labor market, and the good news there is it's going to apparently take some time to measure. Martha, really appreciate you coming on and would love to chat with you again as you release more stuff, so thank you.
Thank you for having me.